welcome to Every Day is a New Day.
Kim O'Neill from KimO'NeillCoaching.com.
We are live. Welcome to another episode of Every Day is a New Day. I'm your host, Kim O'Neill, and this is the Inspired Conversation show about moving forward and choosing to embrace a positive outlook. And if you're watching us live, you have found us on Facebook at Kim O'Neill Coaching, or if you're watching the replay, then you have found us either on YouTube or over on bingenetworks.tv on the Every Day is a New Day channel. I'm so happy that you're here. Please do go ahead and like, comment, and share this interview out for all those who may benefit from it. I've got another fantastic guest here today. I'm excited to talk with her and share her with you. And we look forward to connecting with you. So with that said, my guest today is Kim Juline. Welcome, Kim.
Hello. Aloha.
So I'm going to read a little bit of Kim's bio, and I'm also going to take a quick look to see that we're showing up live, and we are. So I'm going to go ahead and close Facebook. Awesome. All right. So let me share with you just a little bit about who Kim Juline is. Kim Juline is the founder of Finding Your Fiji. She's a Feng Shui expert and psychic. Her Feng Shui expertise, intuitive skills, personal development, and business knowledge create a unique approach to resolving your business and life issues. She graduated with a business degree from the University of St. Thomas and is a certified Feng Shui practitioner, International Feng Shui Guild Red Ribbon practitioner and mentor, and certified angel card reader. And in 2017, Kim Juline moved from Minnesota to Maui, sight unseen. Oh my goodness, to make her dream life a reality. And through her private coaching, her Feng Shui consultations, and angel readings, Kim brings awareness to those things that are keeping you stuck and helps bring harmony to your head, your heart, and your home. She is passionate about creating a life and business filled with ease, daily magic, and joy, and guiding you in finding your Fiji, whatever that may be for you. So I love it, Kim. How are you doing today?
I am doing awesome. It's so good to reconnect with you. We met at the conference in April, and this is kind of the first time that we've connected face to face again. So super fun.
I agree. So yes, for those watching, a few months ago, Kim and I were both going to the same conference, and we wanted to room with someone, and she and I happened to connect. And as soon as we met in person, I thought, oh my goodness, I was paired up with the most ideal roommate ever. So I'm just so fortunate to have met you there.
Yeah, and I feel the same. And we're both Kims. And so, yeah, it was a lot of synchronicity there.
I'm going to adjust my screen just a little bit. There we go. So, Kim, okay, so I love reading your bio because there's just so many interesting things about you. So tell us more about this Minnesota to Maui sight unseen.
Yes, yeah. So it's kind of a crazy thing because I actually had been to all of the other islands, but years ago, like I hadn't been to any of the Hawaiian Islands probably since maybe 2007 or something like that, and had never visited Maui. It just never worked out. We had a timeshare in Kauai, and it just never worked out to come to Maui, which, you know, now I kind of see the beauty in all of that. But I really, I come from Minnesota. I don't love winter. So those two things are not a match. If you don't love winter and you live in Minnesota, winter is literally like 8 months out of the year. It's a long period of time. And it's, and I say that sort of jokingly and not jokingly, but we do sometimes get snow in May. And also sometimes in October. So it's not, it really is like, and I just had this sense or this urge or this calling to move somewhere that's tropical. And I've felt that a long time. And that's part of kind of the reason for my name of my business, Finding Your Fiji, is when I was in Fiji, I was just thinking like, this is my dream life. Like, being in a tropical location, just having that beautiful tropical air and the flowers and just the greenery and never being cold. That was one thing in Minnesota. I was always cold. Even in the summer, because they crank the AC so cold in the restaurants that you literally like are freezing.
Wow.
I was just and so fascinating, that whole aspect of things. But so there was that, and then I just kept getting the guidance. Like I kept getting signs about Maui, and over and over again. And so of course, me with my connection with my angels and my spiritual team, I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, like this is a big deal. I need a really clear sign, like something that I can't mistake it, like can't mistake it for anything else. And so literally the next day after I asked for this sign, I got it.
Wow.
I got a package in the mail. I was doing a Secret Santa sister exchange,
Okay.
and um, so I was getting packages or presents from people I didn't know. And at that point, no one other than my mentor and my best friend even knew that I was thinking about moving, let
Okay.
alone to Maui. And so I get this package in the mail from somebody I don't know. To this day, I still don't know who sent it to me. And there were gifts in the bottom, and they had cushioned it with some bags, just the little kind of handle shopping bags. And the first one I pull out was like turquoise, and it said Maui Divers Jewelry on it. And I'm like, okay, I got my sign, right? Like it was really super clear.
Wow. And so that's huge. Was that really it? You said, okay, I'm going to pack my bags and move? Or did you still decide to like, well, let me go, check it out first and find a place to move first or
No.
talk to some
Yeah,
people?
it's interesting. After I got that sign, I was like, okay, I'm on board. I'm going to do this. And I just basically leaned in. There were times where I thought, I had it in my head that I might visit, that I might come for the writers conference in June and then like move in August or something. I had a little great niece that was going to be born in July. And I'm like, oh, I'll wait till June. I originally actually thought I was going to move in November. And then I thought, oh, maybe August. And then I got a really clear message that no, you don't need to visit. You just need to move there. And so I'm like, okay. So I literally put my house on the market in a week. I called my realtor just to see like, okay, can you come over and check it out and whatever. And literally a week later, I had my house on the market,
Oh my God.
essentially sold twice in a couple days. So that's a whole nother story, but it just everything really lined up and was really just magical. Like even arriving here, that whole aspect
Yeah.
of finding places to live and finding my car, and there's just so much magic.
Okay, so Kim, you sound like someone, and this makes total sense, but I'm just going to acknowledge it. You sound like someone who's really good at hearing her intuition.
Yes, I've gotten better. I will say that. I wasn't always this good at it, but I really, find that as you listen and as you actually follow it, because we often hear it, we see a message, and then there's even a woman that I was talking to yesterday that she's gotten this message that she's supposed to move to California, from Maui to California. And she's gotten the message over and over again, but again, not taking action on it, right? Like just, because those fears come up, right?
Right.
So there's kind of two pieces to it. Like you need to be hearing the guidance, but also then have the faith that everything is going to work out for you and that you are being taken care of, and then take action, because nothing happens unless you actually take action.
Right. Okay. So, what would you say to someone who they're like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a sign, but let me see if I get another one. Let me see if I get another one. Any advice or tips for someone who's in that space?
Oh, yeah. I laugh because I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there where, yeah, like I need confirmation again and again and again. And because literally I had gotten like probably 3 different signs before I said finally, like, I need something so clear, smack me in the face, kind of like I can't ignore it. And that's when that bag came in. And I'm like, okay. So you can ask for additional signs.
Okay. So that bag wasn't your first sign, was it?
No,
Okay.
definitely wasn't. I had definitely gotten other signs first. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I know. And it just, because it was such a big thing. And I think with any decision where it's life changing like that, you can ask for additional signs. You can even ask for something specific. I love to let my team give me whatever sign they want. Some people like to ask for a specific sign, like show me a bluebird if I'm meant to do this. some people do that. My team is so creative that I just love to let them send me whatever signs they want to send me. So that's kind of how I roll with that. But I really just, the big piece about like if you're getting signs is just lean in. Like you don't have to leap. So many people talk about taking a leap of faith, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to leap. Just lean in. Just start like, okay, oh, I got the nudge to call my realtor. So I called the realtor, right? Had her come out. And then she's like, oh, my sister will help stage and whatever. Okay, let's do that. So, we staged the house. I just little steps. So it's like just leaning in and like doing the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Because if I had sat there and thought about all the things that needed to happen in order for me to get here, I would have been totally freaked out and I never would have done it. Never. Because literally I didn't have the money to move here. Like that wasn't a thing. I needed the money from the sale of my house to actually move here.
Okay.
So it's really that faith and that trust and like, yes, this is what I'm being guided to do. And I'm going to be taken care of.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so first off, thank you, Kim, for sharing that. We're going to continue with that in just a moment, but I want to say hello to our guests that are live with us. Hello to Ivy.
Oh, Ivy. Hi,
Ivy. And if you have questions about intuition, following your guidance, leaning in, all of the stuff that Kim's talked about so far, do feel free to go ahead and put those down below so we can answer you right here in the moment. But okay, so Kim, so will you tell us more about, so you talked about leaning in. Is that primarily what you did when you were practicing, moving from the space of, I'm not so sure if I, believe this, or maybe this lack of faith, to just full force, okay, I know that was a sign, I'm doing it. Like, what else happened for you between then to where you are now?
Yeah, it really was the little steps, but the bigger piece of it was staying connected. So I think that's what happens for a lot of people when they are trying to make decisions. They get sort of out of whack or not, they're not in as high a vibration as they could be. And then that's when they don't see things clearly. They feel panicky. They feel worried. They feel scared. But if you do a really good job of keeping your vibration high, which is like meditating, taking salt baths. I mean, these are just some of the things that I do, saging myself. So I have little incense sticks that I use to sage myself and my space, doing activities that light you up, doing whatever it is that you can to feel good. Because making decisions when you don't feel good isn't a good plan either, because then you're not connected, right? And you're not the guidance isn't as clear.
And are those things that you do once a day, all throughout your day, just at the morning?
Yeah, so I typically will sage myself at least in the morning. When I'm doing readings, I have sage burning the whole time that I'm doing readings, because a lot of people are releasing stuff, or we're just, they're moving energy. The angels are helping them release things. And so having the sage helps clear my space continuously. So my office probably always smells like sage because I'm burning it all the time in here. And then like my full space, I typically will do, after I've had visitors or like on the full moon and the new moon. And today's full moon actually. So I think it's such an alignment that we're doing this also on the full moon. So awesome.
Yeah. Okay. And hello to our other guests, other viewers. I love that you all are showing up. So hello, Amanda. Hello, Linda. And so, okay, Kim, so did you always do what you do today, being a Feng Shui practitioner, angel card reader?
No, I've had a couple other past lives within this life. Right. I think we all have transitions. I actually worked in insurance claims for about 17 years.
Okay.
So very long time I was in corporate and handling just kind of the worst kind of claims that you could imagine: physical abuse, sexual abuse, death claims, little kids. Like if a kid drowned or died, that was my claim. Like they would give it to me.
Wow.
And it just, got to a point where I couldn't, just energetically, I couldn't take it anymore. I was getting headaches every day. and I just couldn't do it. And in fact, I remember one of the last claims I had was a little boy who was like 8 years old that drowned, and it was about the same age that my son was. And this was a, claim landed on my desk for me to handle. And I'm like, okay, like I just don't, I just couldn't really do that anymore. So I left corporate to do a jewelry business. So I'd actually started making jewelry, and I did that jewelry business for about 10 years. I also, during that time, bought gold and silver. So I was a gold buyer.
Okay.
So yeah, I've done a lot of different things until I really, and I think I probably always knew that there was more that I was meant to do, right? But I didn't have a super strong connection, because I think what happens, like when you're little, when I was little, I used to, I have a distinct memory of seeing angels on the altar at church. I grew up Catholic, and talking to them. So I was like sitting there talking to them, and I'm like, why is nobody else paying attention to these big, because they were huge. These angels were huge as the archangels. And
Okay,
nobody
so
else.
let's pause for a moment. So you don't just mean like figurines on the wall. You mean you were seeing the angels. Got
I
it.
used to see them. I don't now, but I did when I was little. I used to see them. Hmm. Yeah, and they were always very much a comfort to me. Like that was definitely, something that was very comforting to me. And all through my life, actually, my mom had a real strong connection with angels too.
Okay.
She loved angels, had a lot of little angel figurines around her home and stuff like that. But yeah, so I had to reconnect essentially. And when it happened for me, it was actually in California. I was there for a Wayne Dyer and Abraham event. So
Oh,
if you're
nice.
familiar, Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks. It was a very, very first and only time that they were ever on stage together. A girlfriend of mine is like, I think we need to go. I'm like, okay. And neither one of us had a lot of time. So we basically just flew in. We were there overnight and then flew back. But the vibration, the energy in the space was so high that it pushed me, like it pulled me up. Right. And so the next morning after, I actually could hardly stay awake during the session. Like I literally, when you're in a state that's a little bit lower vibration and you get with these people that are high vibe, it is hard to stay awake. It definitely, because it's so much energy. And so I hardly stayed awake during the actual session. And then the next morning I woke up and my girlfriend was still sleeping. I went out on the patio, and all of a sudden, literally, it was like my team of angels and guides was sitting right next to me. I could hear them clear as a bell. Like they were talking to me, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna, and I still get chills when I talk about it now. They're like, you're going to be channeling, you're going to be doing similar to, Esther. And I'm like, I don't think so. Find somebody else.
Oh
I'm like, no, I'm not ready for this. Right.
no. Wow. Oh my goodness. Kim. Okay, so then did you feel, even after that seminar, did you continue to feel in this elevated state of vibration, or did it ever dip?
Yeah, no, I like to kind of jokingly say they haven't shut up since, because they're just always talking to me, right? And I tried to ignore them. Like I tried to be like, oh no, like this isn't happening. And they would not, they were relentless, which is, great. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so what came after that? So you said, okay, that sounds great, but no, not me. Choose someone else. What came next?
So what they had me doing then is they actually I was channeling. But I was doing it just for myself. And I originally was trying to like write it, and they're like, it's too slow. You need to get a recorder. Like that was one of the first things. They're like, get a recorder. So I started recording, and I still have some of those actually. I may at some point release those, because I had done, I'd recorded some of those channelings initially where they were just, it was my team coming in, and that's where the name came from. So the name of my team is Christine. And that's the spokesperson of the group, is Christine. And so she doesn't like to be called the leader, because she's like, I'm not a leader, I'm just the spokesperson. And so, I've sort of met, quote unquote, met several of my team. So I know the names of many of them, but many I don't know the names of. So, and there's there's actually new ones that came onto my team recently, which it was so crazy. I have an angel message circle, which is a private group.
Okay.
And I do Facebook Lives in that group for them and answer their personal questions 3 times a month. And I was just doing that this week, actually, just yesterday. And what came in is that we were all getting new members on our spiritual teams. And I'm like, what? So kind of crazy. So I just found that out yesterday that I've got some new members on my team. But I think that happens when we're in the middle of a shift or when we're elevating to the next level. Then we need new guidance. We need more assistance with that.
Would you say that the quote or the phrase about the teacher appears when the student's ready, does that apply to your situation as well?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And that happened actually with my Feng Shui stuff too, because I'd been studying and practicing Feng Shui on my own for quite a while. And then all of a sudden came to a class and found out there was a certification right in the Twin Cities. And I'm like, how did I not know this? Right. But I wasn't ready before then. And then I was like, oh, I totally need to do this. It was like one of those things where, when I was ready, the course was right there.
Oh, I love it, Kim. I wasn't anticipating we were going to talk about this today, but thank you. It's like, oh, wait, tell me more. And then I'm like, oh, wait, she told me some of this before. I don't care. It's a great story. Tell everyone here who's listening. So, okay, so let's just take a quick moment to look. We've got some awesome comments here for those that are live with us. So thank you so much. So Joanna Hull is saying, I think you can block, and she does. So I think she's referring to blocking hearing the messages. Is that?
Yes. Yeah, you can do that. And I actually have a friend that did that for quite a while. Like she got tired of listening and, or just how it was leading her, and she blocked it and now is trying to get it back coming in. So yeah, I think you definitely can do that. Life is way easier when you're open to it. I will say that.
Wow. Okay. So awesome. And we've got also here, let's see, Kim Julene rocks. Woohoo. Yes, I know.
My favorite people in the whole world. Right there.
And here's another wonderful question from Joe Hull. She's saying, do they change depending on the situation? So I think she might be asking, do your angels change? Is that how you interpret that?
So they do, like we all have, I guess, starting with the basic, we all have a spiritual team of angels and guides. And so we have archangels that work with many of us. They can work with multiple people at once. So I've had Archangel Michael with me, for instance, since my mom transitioned, like before she transitioned. He's been with me all that time. And he's still a very, very strong force for me. But yeah, they do shift and change. And then what I find too is that when there's a particular need that I have or something that I'm going through, one of my team members will step in. And for me, I know it's somebody different because when I'm actually channeling, my voice changes. And so the voice will sound different when, like, for instance, my one team member, Harold, comes through. His voice and the words that he uses sound very different than Christine. So yeah, and I do feel like it changes as we progress. Then they're like, okay, now you're ready for, like Jesus, for instance, to come on your team. Or you're ready for, Ramtha is another ascended master that's on my team, for example.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely do change.
Awesome. Thank you for responding to that. And so I love Amanda's comment next because it's a great segue. She says, angel reading and Feng Shui together is very powerful stuff. So thank you, Amanda. And Kim, will you now share with us, yes, how does Feng Shui, share with us anything you want to share, but I'm also curious, how does Feng Shui support us in being able to receive messages or hear our angels? Is there a link there?
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And Amanda knows this because she and I have that in common. She does angels and Feng Shui too. So it's awesome. Yeah. So it's always interesting how spirit brings people together like that. But yeah, what I find is that, number one thing that I want to share is that there are is something we talk about as like 3 types of luck, which is also can be referred to as like 3 types of energy. One of them is our heaven luck. So, like when we were born, I also read that as like our connection with the divine, with the angels and guides or God or whatever that is for you, your higher power. So that's the heaven connection. And then we have the earth connection, which is our environment. So that's another form of luck or energy. Our environments do impact us. And then the third is our human luck, which is the actions that we take, our the things that we actually do, our free will, if you will.
Okay.
So those three things. So if you think about it, with the angels and the feng shui, those are two out of the three. So they really help support one another. And when you have an environment that energetically supports you, your vibration is able to raise to a point where you can hear the angels and guides too. So they work together.
So, what are some of the common things that people don't realize are in their home or their physical environment is impacting the way the energy is flowing and impacting
Yeah.
their life?
So I think one thing that people just don't think about a lot is that everything in your space impacts you. Doesn't matter if it's, like a water bottle or a vase or whatever it might be, it does impact you. And people keep so many things in their spaces that they don't even like, or that they were given to them by somebody, or they liked it maybe when they were first married or something, but now it's like they don't even see it, I think, as part of it, right? So that's one thing I think feng shui really does, is to help you go through your space with open eyes. So I recently did a consult for an office for a gal here in Maui, for her office, and she was storing something under her desk that literally she was bumping her knees on it every time that she would sit into her desk. And I'm like, I looked and I'm like, I feel like there's another place that you could put these, right? This item. And so that you wouldn't be, and I suggested a place and she's like, oh my gosh, it's like so obvious, but you get so used to it. It's like that. The tolerations is what I call them, the things that we tolerate. So one of the things I just, even like a little action item that people can do, is to go through their home and write down all the things that they're tolerating. Like, is there a broken screen? Is there something that needs to be returned to the store? Are there clothes hanging in your closet that you haven't worn in a long time? There's just so many different things. And I think it's just opening your eyes to like what is actually in your space, and only having those things that do make you feel good and bring you good energy.
Wow. As you say that, and I've actually heard you say that somewhere else recently, I'm like, oh, I have to get a new jewelry box. My jewelry box is broken.
Oh, yes. Yeah, for sure.
I've been tolerating it too long.
Yeah, I don't even use a jewelry box actually. I use I guess they're for jewelry. You can hang it on a hook and they have
Okay.
little compartments. Yeah, so that's kind of how I transported my jewelry here, and I'm like, oh, it's an easy way to store it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's take a quick look, see if we have any comments. We've got so many people here with us. It's fantastic. Let's see. Um, Raising vibrations can be hard when you have illness around you. Kim, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I definitely get that, because when you're in a state of pain or when you're not feeling good, it is hard. It can be hard to raise your vibration, but even in that perspective, like just changing little things in your environment, like bringing in some fresh flowers, for example. Yellow is the color of health in feng shui, so bringing in some yellow flowers can even just again make you feel better. And I think that's part of maybe why people always bring flowers when people are sick, right? Because it's that living energy. It's really vibrant. Even beautiful plants, right, can make us feel better. So anytime that you can bring, and this is one of the principles in feng shui, but anytime that you can bring nature inside, it's going to help you feel better. So that's too why, like, even just pictures of water, like even just the backdrop here, that the palm tree and the ocean type of backdrop, right? It raises the energy of the space and helps you feel better.
I love that. That's a great one. I know this isn't quite an illness, but there was a time I was out with some friends and unexpectedly got ill while I was there, got sick, and it was awful. It was awful. And I just thought, okay, sure, this is happening. So I'm going to acknowledge it. I can't deny that it's happening right now, but I know that everything is energy and so are my words. So rather than continuing to tell myself how awful I feel and, you know, reaffirming that, I thought, what can I do? I can start to reaffirm the opposite. Oh my gosh, I love when I feel well. I feel good. My body takes care of me. And it was just such a deliberate, conscious decision. Now, did it mean that, instantaneously everything was like way better? No, but I did notice I wasn't getting worse. And that allowed me to start to maintain and stabilize. And then as it got better, you know, I know that really supported me. It's because when you start to dip into the acknowledgement of just purely what is in that moment, and there was a moment when that happened that day that I noticed I was feeling worse. And so I was like, whoa, go back to where we were just a moment ago. Yes. And so anyway, yeah, in case that's of support to anybody listening, I know that the self-talk really supports us in how we experience the present moment.
Yeah, because we can get in that downward spiral, you know, right? Because one negative thought leads to another one, leads to another one. And I call that kind of that downward spiral. Yeah. Definitely that can happen. And another tool that I use that's really helpful is EFT or tapping. So if you haven't heard of that, that in the moment when you're feeling like crap or something is like triggering you, because we do often get triggered by people, circumstances, things, tapping helps release that triggered emotion from your body, and even pain. It helps with pain too. So if you're not feeling well, you can use that as a tool as well.
I love that you mentioned that, Kim. Kim, is EFT something you do for clients as well, or is that?
I'm not a certified practitioner. I've done a lot of it myself, and I do use it as a tool with my clients, particularly if we're working through, like, it doesn't typically happen on angel readings, but when I'm doing private coaching sessions, we work on deeper stuff. And when that stuff comes up, if the client is starting to cry, we need to do something to allow that to be released. And so we do the tapping while we're working through it. So we'll use that as a tool along with the emotional aspect of things, digging into like, where is this coming from? You know, typically something that happened when you were younger, right? It's being triggered again so that you can heal it. But yeah, it's definitely a tool that I use, but I do want to make it clear I'm not certified in it. I just have a lot of practice using it for sure.
Well, but I love that you acknowledge that, because it's so interesting. A handful of years ago, I wasn't really into EFT. It's like, okay, every person has their own modality that speaks to them. And that really wasn't one that spoke to me. And over the years, as I became more in tune with my emotions and what was going on, I noticed that I just intuitively would start tapping when I was feeling stuff. Like I just tapping my body, and I wasn't like doing any sort of process. I know there's like a whole rhythm and pattern to it. I wasn't doing any of that. I was literally just tapping wherever I just somehow started tapping, and it was helping me release it. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is why people like EFT so much, because it really helps you to shift that. So, okay, we've got a fantastic question that I think everyone here probably has. I do as well. So Linda is asking, how would you start to help a clutterer with basic techniques to declutter?
That's a great question. I love that. There is a book that I recommend to all of my clients called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. It's by Marie Kondo, #1 bestseller. And it works. Like, I've done the system. I've had a number of clients that have done it, some friends that have done it as well. It definitely does work, because it's not about doing like one room at a time. It's by like category. So literally, like, I remember in my old house, I had a large house in Minnesota. And I remember like pulling just as an example, the toilet paper from everywhere in the house. I had so much toilet paper, like I would have needed to buy toilet paper for like forever. Like there was so much toilet paper, right? So just little things like that, where you like think about, we feel like we have to store toilet paper in every bathroom. And yes, of course you need a couple rolls. rolls in each bathroom, right?
Oh, you're
You
calling me out right now. I have so much toilet paper.
like that's yeah, it's totally true. So you store it in one place, and then of course keep a roll or two in the bathrooms. But and same thing with cleaning supplies. Like how many people have cleaning supplies in every single bathroom?
Yeah.
You don't need all of that. You literally are cleaning, usually doing them all in one day. You can actually carry it from bathroom to bathroom, right? And, not have so much waste and not be storing so much stuff. So the Marie Kondo system is very methodical about that. And I actually have a couple blogs that we can share, maybe in the comments or something after that speak to decluttering and things to do. And you can even do like a simple, like spend 9 minutes a day, set a timer, 9 minutes in one room that's really bothering you, and just start to go through things, right? And just start releasing what doesn't serve you. Anything doesn't light you up, and just starting, and it's addicting. Once you start letting go of stuff, you're going to feel better. And that's
Yeah.
going to encourage you to do more and more and more.
There was one system, I don't remember what it was called, but it was get rid of 27 things for 9 consecutive days. And by the end of those 9 days, you're going to feel amazing. Have you heard of that process?
Oh, it's got to be a feng shui thing just because of the numbers. Because
Oh, okay.
27 is a multiple of 9, and 9 days, we talk about doing stuff in multiples of 9 all the time because 9 is actually a lucky number. It's the last number before they repeat again, and it's all about reaching new heights. So it's definitely yeah, that's why I say like 9 minutes, or we do 9 days, 9 days in a row,
Wow.
do things. Yeah, so it really is powerful. And even you can do it even just like in your office, for example, and just each day get rid of 9 things. And it can be like a piece of paper that you were holding on to for some unknown reason, right? It can be simple little things, and it does shift the energy. Anytime you do anything to release things or move things around, it shifts the energy.
Wonderful. That's a great question.
Yeah.
All right here. And so, yes, so Joe is talking about 3 positive for 1 negative, right? I will attest to that. That's the ratio I've heard of positive to negative statements or thoughts. Kim, what are your thoughts in general about choosing to embrace a positive mindset, positive outlook?
Yeah. It's really helpful to think about like the best possible outcome whenever you're thinking about something. So this is one thing that I know a lot of people like, oh, Murphy's Law, what can go wrong will go wrong. I dislike that. I like to say what can go right will go right. So having that sort of attitude in life. But I also know that our emotions are information. And so when we're feeling bad or when we have these things that are coming up, you can't just shove them under a rug because it's like dirt. It's going to build up and it's going to come back up big in your face. So you do have to deal with the emotions and you do have to feel them. And that's why like techniques like tapping or different things where you can actually be saying the negative statements while you're tapping allows you to release them. So actually, I just did this. A friend of mine, actually my best friend, is a EFT practitioner. She's a pro. She's so good at this. And she and I just were. She had some stuff coming up, and I had coincidentally some very similar things coming up for me just because we're both involved in a lot of different things. We have a lot of things that we're working on, that type of thing. So we actually spent almost 2 hours on the phone just tapping and talking through it, right? But we were tapping while we were doing it. And that was released, and we're yawning. I mean, that's one of the things that happens when you are experienced tapper, when you get that release as you yawn or you burp or you cough or sneeze or whatever, your body releases that. And so we're yawning, we're coughing, we're, as we're talking through things. But I think that it's important that we acknowledge the feelings that we're having and the emotions that we're having, and then see what we can do about choosing a better thought. So it's like you can't get, as Abraham always says, you can't get from A to Z. You've got to go from A to B. So it's like you're not going to get from like, oh, I'm in supreme debt to I'm completely financially free. Like there's just, it's too big a leap. So like, oh, there is abundance around me. I have an abundance of toilet paper. That's abundance, right?
Exactly. Yes. Oh my goodness. Well, and I think the other, thank you so much for sharing that. I think for some of us, and for me, I'm bringing this up for me, because I can relate to this, and so others may as well, that when there's the value of positive thinking and you hear, oh, but say the negative statements, I'm going to give my interpretation. I'd love to hear if you have a different one, Kim, but it's because you don't want to resist any energy. So by accepting it, you just allow it and you can release it and then ease into the more positivity. So it's not about acknowledge it and stay in it. It's about acknowledge it so it can be released and you can easily shift into the more positive mindset. And then do what you can to get momentum going there.
Yeah.
Do you have any other
That's
thoughts
beautiful. I love that. And that actually reminds me of another way that I tend to deal with emotions too. And I do this a lot with my clients where do you feel it in your body?
Yeah.
So, like, okay, I feel it in my chest, and then describing it, like looking at it as if it were an object. So where you are like pulling yourself out of it and being that observer and looking at it from an outside perspective, like, oh, this is like a rock or it's a brick. It's really heavy. It's black. It's, and the few minutes that you spend like just describing it, you've felt it. And then oftentimes it will go away.
I like that. That's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, let's see here. So I don't see any new comments from our viewers. So that's all right. So Kim, we've already been talking all around this topic, but I just love to ask this standard question to all my guests. This show is called Every Day is a New Day. What does that mean to you?
So to me, it means that it's a fresh opportunity to co-create whatever we want. So every day we get a new chance, a new opportunity. And I say co-create because we're not doing this by ourselves. We have a whole team that's here helping us. And so we get this new opportunity every single day to create whatever it is we want in our life.
I love it. Well, okay. So going back to your team is a team of angels. Is there anybody else in your team, or are they all angels?
Yeah, no, I've angels, and I have like Harold used to be a shaman. Found that out from somebody that I actually knew him when he was alive. So that was a kind of a crazy story too.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's lots of and there's ascended masters. I have, Mary, Magdalene, Mother Mary, Jesus. I've got a bunch of different people on my team too. So yeah, lots of different, and loved ones. My mom is there cheering me on too.
Oh, it's beautiful. Well, So one of the messages that's been coming around a lot for me, and I've been putting it into practice for myself, is asking the angels for assistance. And I've noticed, I've learned that there's a difference. There's a difference between saying, I keep hoping and wishing for it, versus now I'm literally going to ask and actually say it. Because as soon as I say it, then something new shows up for me. Versus if I just keep thinking and, wondering about it, it's like.
Yeah. So I have a great little story around this that's super fun, if you don't mind me sharing.
No, please.
It was when I was on my way to the podcasting conference. The flight that I had, the seat that I had from Maui to, I can't remember where I flew into San Fran or somewhere originally. And it was like the very worst seat on the plane. It was the middle in the very last row. And this is like a 5.5, 6 hour flight, right? Like overnight flight. And I'm like, angels, this isn't okay. Like, I'm not okay with this. You need to fix this. Right. And I'm like, I just said, like, this isn't okay. I would like to sit on an aisle further up in the plane. So I asked, right? And then the trick to all of this is letting them give you the answer, letting you line it up. So I get to the airport, I'm checking my bags, and I'm like, is there any way that, I could get my seat switched? And they're like, well, yeah, if you want to pay $70. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. So I didn't. And then I get to the gate and there's like a line of people and I get on the line and wait there for a little while. And my angels are like, just get on the plane. I'm like, okay, angels, I'm trusting you, right? I go get on the plane, and of course, it's like packed, like just jam packed. And I see where my seat is at the very back of the plane, and there's nowhere to put bags there, like they're all full.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, I guess I'm going to just shove my bag up here, wherever I was. I get back all the way to my seat, and a girl is standing in the aisle, and she goes to me, she's like, "Are you in the middle seat?" And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Would you mind changing with me? I have a seat like 11 rows up. I'm not kidding you, 11 rows up, and it's on the aisle. Would you mind switching? I really want to sit next to my boyfriend." And I'm like, yes, I totally will switch with you. I go to that seat and literally, I still get chills talking about this. My bag, I had put it right above my seat where I was going to
Oh,
sit.
wow. Okay. I just got chills. That's awesome.
Right?
Yes.
It's so crazy. It's trusting, right? It's like you ask them, and then you have to trust. Then you have to let go and not try to. What we tend to do is we try to make it happen. You have to just let go and trust that they're going to take care of it for you. And they do. They do in ways that you can't even imagine, so much better. I didn't have to pay $70 to change my seat, right?
Oh my gosh, that's an amazing story, Kim. I love it. Okay, so I a question that I'm sure is probably on everyone's mind, or something that's always coming up somewhere, is how to manifest more money. And I certainly know about that myself, but I would love for you to speak to that from a Feng Shui perspective. How can we, shift things in our physical environment to support us in manifesting more money?
Yes. Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah, and it's so funny because I just did I've been doing a lot of podcast interviews, and one of my interviews was on wealth and abundance that just came out today, too. So we were talking about, there's a lot more tips in that one as well. But a very simple thing that you can do is with a bell. So this is a little brass bell. The red thread or the red ribbon is lucky because red is a lucky color in Feng Shui. And this happens to be 9 inches long. So I cut it to be 9 inches long, which again is lucky. So what do you do with this little bell? You can, if you have a home office, you can hang, this is one that I hang on my office door. So you can do that, and it literally will ring in more clients. It will bring in more business.
Nice.
Similarly, you can add something with movement by your front door. And the same thing, your front door is where all the energy and opportunities come into your space. So having something with movement there, whether it's a wind chime or a bell or a flag or even like one of those metal spinners, anything with movement will help attract more energy and opportunities and more abundance to you. But again, kind of the other piece of that too is anytime that you get rid of things that are broken or you move things around, that's also going to help bring more flow and more energy to you. Taking vacations, great way to bring more abundance. It sounds ridiculous when you say that, but I have a client that she's taken, I don't know, she's been on vacation more than she's been working the last 2 months. And she comes back and she's got so many people like lined up to have appointments with her. It's crazy. It's good energy because she feels good, right? And that's what we put out. So the better you feel, the more you're going to be able to attract that abundance to you as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Bell. I'm going to go buy a bell like tomorrow, literally. Awesome. Okay.
I had one client, you can even get like a smaller bell and put it in your purse or your car because they're also good for protection as well. So you might have noticed when we stayed at the hotel in California that what I did is I cleared the room with this bell and then I hung it on the door. And again, it's like that protection as well. But I had a realtor that was a client actually that had a little bell that she literally just carried in her purse, and it was bringing her more clients.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay. So, Kim, before we wrap it up, is there one feng Shui tip that is your favorite that we haven't already talked about?
Oh yeah. I would say probably one of my favorite adjustments, what we call adjustments in Feng Shui, is the Hansel and Gretel adjustment, or what I refer to as a Hansel and Gretel adjustment. It's a bird seed adjustment. So what you do is you get some bird seed, and I always like to say get non-sprouting because you don't want it to sprout. And you
Okay.
basically sprinkle that bird seed from your front door to the street and back again, visualizing the abundance that you want to bring in. So if you are in business for yourself, you visualize the clients, right? If you have favorite clients, you visualize those specific people that you want more of those. If you work for someone else, just visualize like, raises, more money, more clients, whatever it is. And so you do that as you're going out to the street, sprinkling the bird seed, and then back to your front door. And you can do this. More than once. So like what happens, I have a client that does this whenever things get slow. She'll do the bird seed adjustment. She's like, oh, I did the bird seed and I've got 5 new appointments, right? So it works, and it works really fast. But again, the intention is the key. So it's not just like sprinkling the bird seed. It's like you have to think about, what is it that I want to attract with this bird seed? What am I leading to me? Right?
Nice.
What am I? And again, the bird seed just energetically, it even can help people find places. So I had a client that people would get lost all the time going to her office because it was a weird location, and people get lost all the time. And so I had her do the bird seed adjustment, and people didn't get lost after that anymore. So
wow. Wow. Okay. So that's fantastic. Kim, where can people find out more about you and all this wisdom and insight that you have?
Yeah. So my website is findingyourfiji, FIJI.com. So lots of good stuff there. I'm on YouTube under my name, Kim Jolene, and I do actually, I do daily little mini readings, less than 5 minutes there, as well as monthly readings for the zodiac signs and Feng Shui Friday tips. So lots of videos, lots of information there. I'm on Instagram and Facebook and all the other little places with Finding Your Fiji is typically where they can find me around that. So, and I do have a free gift also, if you want to share about that.
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So speaking about abundance, this is my 9 fast Feng Shui fixes to attract abundance. So it's my best tips for attracting abundance. Very simple things that you can do, just like you were talking about, to attract more abundance into your life.
And do they just go to findingyourfiji.com?
Go to Finding Your Fiji, and it's right on the right. It's actually on every page, on the bottom of every page, or on the home page. It's on the right-hand side, and I'll just say, 9 fast Feng Shui fixes, and they can pop in their email and information.
Awesome. Okay, that sounds fun. Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that, Kim.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kim, for being here today. And thank you for all those that have been with us live, that have shared your comments and your thoughts and insights as well with us. And for those on the replay, please go ahead and do the same. We'd love to connect with you even after the show has aired live as well. So I hope you remember that every day is always a new day. No matter where you are today, it does not have to be where you are tomorrow. And I love what Kim Jolene shared with us today, because she gave us a lot of different tips that actually can help support us in having fun. That's how I hear it, having fun with shifting and seeing, experiencing that new day in a positive light. And I also would say enjoying the process.
Yes. Yeah. That's the deal. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, enjoy it. So I hope you have a wonderful day. To find out more about the Every Day is a New Day show, you can go to Facebook at Kim O'Neill Coaching and the Every Day is a New Day show, and look at the events there. And I've got all my future guests. I've actually got a few more I need to upload, but I've got a lot of my next future guests already right there and scheduled out, so you can set reminders for yourself. And in addition to this show, I'm also a personal empowerment and interview confidence coach. And so if you'd like to connect and see how I may be able to support you in moving forward with where you are, I would love to connect with you. And you can find out more by going to KimO'NeillCoaching.com. Hope you have a wonderful day. And again, thank you for being with us today, Kim.
Yes, thank you. So awesome.
Thank you. Bye for now, everybody.